This could be the juice.
You guys want to see a magic trick that's like impossible and will blow your mind? But let me
The dark truth about the Eon Fuli explained.
warn you. You gotta pay attention and you know, very
Lock
carefully
in.
follow my
Pay attention.
instructions. Think of a number between 1 and 10.
7.
You got it? Now double it.
Okay, 14.
Now
Oh, I've
add
done
2
this.
to that answer. And
What
now
was that?
just subtract
16.
3 from that result. Pretty easy. right?
13.
Now
Was
raise
it
it to the
13?
power of itself.
No, I'm not
Then
doing
take
that.
the natural logarithm of that result and differentiate it with respect to time. Then take the absolute value.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about again. Look, I get it. HSR is a horror story now with pom-pom. Ha ha ha. This is terrifying, and I'm scared and I won't be able to sleep tonight, DeWitt. Are you kidding me? We've gone over the whole thing with the photos in the beginning, and I'm not having any more of it. You need to stop, okay? Because I'm scared. Halloween's over, buddy. It's supposed to be joyous like Christmas time. Not actually. Not actually. Not actually. We can wait a little bit longer for that. But Halloween's over.
Value of that derivative and integrate that over the interval. Now normalize the number so its mean is 1 and its variance is 0. Now Fourier transform it and then look at its
was waiting
frequency
for
domain.
Momo.
See
That is
that
the most
spike?
Terrifying photo in the world.
Yeah, I'm good. For those wondering how I made that spike look like that, I'm afraid I can't tell you, but here's the truly magical part.
I have no idea what he said.
That spike
I was scared.
shouldn't exist. It defies logic. It's nonsensical.
Oh, we're back again.
Impossible. Kind of like a path existing without an eon. Yep, that's right, folks.
Nah, that
See,
makes
in the
sense.
end, I managed to tie it all back together. The impossibility of Cyrene's ending with the current predicament of Fuli. Because that's what we...
Not really. You want to know why? Because look at the way we're going to spawn the Chrysos heirs. Look at the way we're going to spawn the Chrysos heirs. We're going to spawn the Chrysos heirs because their memories in a book. And while you can say, yeah, they're in the book, just fucking around, having fun, yada, yada, yada. Like, realistically, they're just spawning from memories. So, put that into Fuli's perspective. How does Fuli spawn? Yeah, he doesn't exist, but the thought of him exists. You know what I mean? Like everybody almost will be speaking him into existence because Fuli, as of right now, is just a concept. He's a thought process. He's a ideology. He's a, oh, we need this. It's like, look at the ancient Egyptians with like the god of the sun and the god of the water and the god of rain and all this shit, right? They just resulted in gods because I couldn't explain it scientifically, right? So like, oh, we have this Eon Fuli who's just, oh, the power of these memories and memory and all this shit. Like, everybody's just gonna speak him into existence because we need something to be that entity. So Fuli's just gonna spawn off of people talking about Fuli. You know what I mean? So having a god who doesn't exist yet, doing powers that a god that doesn't exist yet can do, makes sense because he's gonna spawn at the end once we have everything done.
We've been talking about for the last minute, and nothing else.
Just like the Eon of Remembrance, a being made entirely of memories.
Exactly.
Does that mean, did they fall?
No, quite the opposite. They have not yet been born. Remember, to carry out the mission of remembering the universe, they must ascend to divinity only at the very end of time. And at that moment of ascension, their memory stretches through the past.
I'm just gonna say too, I have rewatched this scene too many times right now.
Becoming what people now call Fuli. That is why they feel so distant, so cold. That crystalline form is just an empty shell.
But how exactly does this work? What are the mechanisms at play here that allow for path striders of their remembrance to exist if there's no master over the path? For example, where is the power coming from? Typically, a gaze from an eon is assigned letting you take a sliver, a tiny, tiny sliver of their path's power. That's how path striders come to be. Emanators have access to a much larger share of the power. Quote, if mortals receiving the grace of eons and grasping the power of paths are viewed as a singular shattered foam, then the mighty feats of eons driving their paths onwards can be likened to a towering tsunami that engulfs mountains. In this empty stellar vastness, a small number of favored mortals can also draw upon the power of the paths with the permission of the eons, creating huge waves that erode the coast. They are referred to as emanators. While not completely subservient to the eons, emanators are as good as emissaries of the eons' wills in everyone else's eyes. But if Fuli doesn't exist, then how can they grant these permissions to their would-be emissaries? Well, Herta answered this, but, let's put it into different words, because, different's
The universe
good.
is a loop.
And the history of mankind has always liked things and people different from themselves.
Here's a conclusion I came to today while reading over a couple things and talking with somebody on a YouTube video. The universe is a loop as of right now. However, the fourth path to finality isn't remembrance, it's trailblaze. And our goal in Honkai Star Rail is to take trailblaze all the way to the end and destroy the loop of the universe. We're going to break the universe out of its current loop that it's in via the path of trailblaze. This is just the smaller version of it. We had the choice to go back in remembrance or continue trailblaze. Pom Pom told us to continue to trailblaze. Hamiko told us to continue to trailblaze because there's so many secrets we have yet to learn. Everything pointed us to the path of trailblaze, and we decided to keep trailblazing. Okay? That's what's gonna happen.
Fuli is an eon who can only rise at the end of time, as that's simply the prerequisite for remembering the universe. It needs to be done after the fact. When they ascend and engage in the act of remembering the universe, then their memory stretches into the past, and that is what we perceive as Fuli in the modern day. So, the glimpses of Fuli we notice now, like when they glance at a Pathstrider, these actions aren't from the past moving forward, or even the present day, but rather from Fuli's future remembrance echoing backwards. Now, what's interesting is this all leans into an interpretation of time throughout the universe called the block universe, or eternalism, which is a view of time that states the past, the present, and the future all coexist as parts of a single block. In this model, time isn't something that flows, it's just something that is. Every moment exists at the same time, they're just experienced differently depending on where you stand in that block. Because think about it, for Fuli to be able to remember the universe in a way that affects the past, time can't be linear, because if Fuli only exists in a future where the end of the universe has occurred, then that means the end of time is already there waiting. It's already happened, just like the beginning, just like the past. That's the only way Fuli's atemporal act of remembrance can radiate into the past, giving rise to what we perceive as Fuli. Either that, or, Fuli's just fucking cheesing with, some retro-causality bullshit. For example, if Fuli's remembrance at the end of time creates the conditions for their own existence earlier, then that act of remembrance at the end of time causes the events we see throughout history, meaning their actions in the future alter the past. So with these two scenarios in mind, here's how Pathstriders of the Remembrance can exist. Either Fuli's power reaches backward through time in a fucking divine act of retrocausal magic, or it just exists timelessly in an eternal block of moments. In the retrocausal magic bullshit view, when Fuli ascends at the end of time and remembers everything that happened, that act of memory spreads backwards through history. Pathstriders who are gazed at then connect with these, that gaze drawing power from them. Now, in the eternalist block theory view, past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, and Fuli's ascension is already present in every moment. Thus, their act of gazing, at a wood...
I mean, honestly, it would make more sense for them to do something like this, actually, just because of the fact that if we did just get it with, Cyrene, it would be nice for them just as a story to switch it up. But, we look at Cyrene as, Herta said that she did everything that an Eon could do, just like in the form of amphoreus. So it would make sense that Fuli kind of did the same thing, no?
Be Pathstrider simply lets them tap into Fuli's power. Now, which of these two viewpoints are right, retrocausality or eternalism? Probably retrocausality, only because that's quite literally what just happened with Cyrene and Amphoreus, right? The Cyrene of the future gave rise to the Cyrene of the past. Future affecting the past. They love that. They love that right now. So I don't think it's a coincidence they did that and then told us that Fuli can only exist in the future.
Because then later down the line, they won't have to tell us. They won't have to explain this again either. Like, we're getting this explained to us now, so when it happens down the line at, like, the end of the story, if the Trailblazers is going to continue and try to break us out of this universal loop, like, they can make it very concise. Like, hey, basically, like, Herta could just be like, hey, you know what happened to Amphoreus? Oh, this is what just happened now. Haha, we're at the end of the line, and this is what Fuli did, and this is, remember what happened with Cyrene? Haha, this is what's happening right now. That, it's just an easy way for them to be like, oh yeah, this is what's currently happening. Later down the line, like patch like 7.3 or whatever.
Don't you guys love talking about orphans? Anyway, now that we've pointlessly established the science behind Fuli's actions, who's actually going to become Fuli?
Here in the present,
yeah, that's the question,
we cannot know who will become Fuli. But one thing is certain. They will be born.
Odds it's March? I mean, it's a percentage. There's a chance. It could be March. I believe, technically, there's probably a chance it could still be Cyrene somehow. You could definitely figure it out. Like, there is a way to figure it out to make Cyrene Fuli still. The big boy, the big Fuli, not the mini Fuli as she currently is. You know, the big boy.
And those who might become Fuli all share the same characteristics. They are known as children of remembrance. Pure child of anasrava.
Well, off rip, we're only limited to the pure children of anasrava. Quote, among these possibilities, one cannot be ignored. One or several pure children of anasrava established the Garden of Recollection, where they work together to guard the secret of remembrance, that the crystal god of the Eden of blessed insight is only a false avatar, a fragment of memories. It signifies the shared destiny of all pure children of anasrava, to remember the stars until these women's mind fades and their body dissolves. In the end, only one of them will ascend to become the true Fuli. And, you know, of the children, we only have two confirmed names, that being Cyrene and March 7th. Are there others? Probably. Yeah. You know, probably. How many? Who knows? But that's what kind of makes this tough to answer. With that said, between March and Cyrene has probably the greatest feat of anyone in the universe right now. True. That's not an Eon. Even among the Eons, it's still kind of nuts. She did an era nova to the entire universe after Iron Doom destroyed the entire universe. Folks, that's an act of remembrance for the entire cosmos, folks. That's aeonic. That's what Fuli does at the end of time. He remembers the entire universe. So naturally, you know,
it was predicted that that's what he could do, or that's what the Memo Snatchers wanted to prove. It was a theory, no? Is that still considered a theory? That's kind of what the Memo Snatchers wanted to prove. Is that's what would happen, and it's also kind of what Noose wanted to find out through this moment this instant. That's how I take it still.
Confirm that Cyrene has gone further down the path of remembrance than anyone else.
But now, I finally understand what that chaotic matter around Amphoreus truly is. It is your memory. Your mind now stretches across the stars, allowing you to travel farther down this path than anyone else.
This must mean she's a lock to become Fuli. Well, she certainly has the resume to back this up. Let's not forget about the oddity that is March 7th. Someone whose real identity, even after Amphoreus, we still don't know. Someone who, within their soul, has a being wielding power comparable to that of an emanator for a completely different eon.
Where's her world going to end up?
She's a bizarre individual to the point it'd be foolish to write her off based on Cyrene's feats alone, but maybe we'll never know who.
That's the thing, because if all the children of anasrava are destined to do this, she's gonna do it somewhere. What's her original planet? Where is Evernight originally from? What did she originally do? So it's either Fuli or somewhere else that she's gonna have to do this. I don't know.
Becomes Fuli, because the only way we can find out who becomes Fuli is if the end of time were to occur, and we'd be dead by then. That wouldn't be good.